All right. Hello, industrial marketers. And today I'm here with Adam Beck, and we are going to be talking about how to get CAD leads into your CRM system. So, to first start off with, Adam, why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. My name is Adam Beck. I'm the Director of Marketing at CAD and USA. I've been here for 12 years. A big part of what I do internally is I live in our HubSpot and Salesforce systems that are, we use as our CRM and marketing automation, but also customer success is a big part of what I do. And I love working with manufacturers and industrial marketers. So what we're talking about today kind of brings all of my favorite things together.
Yeah, me too. Also, got a 30-year background in industrial marketing. My name's John Joyce. I'm a fractional CMO. And I founded Bridger.io to solve a lot of the problems I saw manufacturers struggling with connecting their technology, doing basically custom integrations where there's no out-of-the-box solution, including things like government compliant integrations, which is a whole area for manufacturers if you do anything for the government. At this point, I just really want to remind everybody that we're going to be doing a Q&A at the very end. So if you have any questions, just drop your questions in the comments and we'll try to get to them at the end. And if we don't, we'll just try to reply to those later in the comments. So without further ado, a lot of this has to do with marketing to engineers, Adam. So tell me about why a CAD solution makes sense and how we're helping engineers and how this makes good marketing sense.
Yeah, so really engineers need components for their larger designs. And they're either drawing those components, that's the thing that the manufacturer makes, or they're going out to the internet and finding bearings and pulleys and actuators and all the things that they build together like a Lego kit to make whatever they're making at the end of the day. And so manufacturers who provide these CAD models on their website make those engineers' lives easier because they can get it on demand. They can get it in any format they need, and they can configure it just the way they like using the manufacturer rules. So it's a really great way for manufacturers to provide content marketing to their audience. These CAD models are content. It isn't often considered that way, but it really is a powerful deliverable. This is showing a product here from, is this a Helix product?
It is.
Yeah, and so they put these on their website. The engineer can go on there, spin it around, configure it as he wants, and when he's ready and happy to download it, he fills out the form. That is the standard content marketing transaction. The engineer gets the CAD model he needs, and the manufacturer has a lead in their system to follow up on and nurture through their process.
Yeah, and in industrial marketing, you're always trying to provide value, and you're often doing it through content, and you're often doing it for engineers. So really, this is like exactly the sweet spot of those things. How do you provide content that's technical for engineers, content that can be a lead magnet, also, and it provides some real value to those engineers. And this CAD solution from Cadence is super powerful. That for that, I've implemented it with a couple of my clients, and it definitely generates a significant amount of leads and good quality leads. But there is a problem, which is that all this data, for instance, from this registration form that they need to fill out when they download a CAD, all this data, sometimes it just gets lost. It just goes into for instance, Cadenas' own system and never gets acted on. And you can kind of miss out. You might be missing out right now on a ton of these leads. Or if you get them out of the system manually, that whole process is kind of time intensive and inconsistent. So,
And you
I
got to
just
make sure
look at
that it's
this
all mapped correctly, right?
exactly. Every time you're importing a file, you could run into issues and duplicates and all kinds of little uh,
But
kind
one
of
one quick point of
irritations.
clarification, though, we do when we collect the data and it goes into our system, we can't see any of that. That is the manufacturer's data at the end of the day, and it's all obscured to us. And we, it's a GDPR thing, but the manufacturers doing something with that is what we're talking about today. That's the big key here.
Yep. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Got to do things according to GDPR, especially if you're in Europe. So this whole process, what if we could make it better, right? That's the question we're trying to answer today. What if this scenario could be automated? What if you could never miss a lead again? What if you could use those leads in your CRM, routing them to the right salesperson, putting those people through workflows, nurturing them digitally? What if you could get greater sales and business intelligence out of those leads and that activity that's on your CAD system?
Yeah, that's the goal every day. The goal of this tool is to be a time saver for your audience, but also we got to address the time saver for the manufacturer. So, what's the process to set it up?
Yeah, it's important, obviously, that this has to be simple. So the solution we have takes a three-step installation process from your CRM admin. We'll look a little bit more at that in depth at the near the end of the presentation, but it's simple, fast to set up, and completely secure, and can be customized to the way your CRM works. If you've customized your CRM for your specific business needs, we can customize the integration to that as well.
Cool. Let's check it out.
Yeah, so right now, I guess the next thing we should look at is just do an actual demo of the integration and see how it looks in HubSpot, see how it looks in Salesforce. Just to remind you again, if you have a question along the way, just drop your questions in the comments. We'll try to reach those at the end during the Q&A section. Through this demo, we'll mostly look at HubSpot, but the integration supports Salesforce, it supports Dynamics, it supports data lakes. We're working on an SAP integration. There's pretty much nothing that is off the radar screen of what it could be integrated to if you have the need for it. So with no further ado, let's take a look at this. The first place I'd like to look at is the stream of contact data coming in. So this contact data is brought in automatically. It's coming from form submissions in the case of HubSpot. So the data comes in just like other lead data comes in to your HubSpot. That data can be reported on and workflowed from and monitored in the exact same way any other lead data comes in. And there's actually a lot of data that comes across. For instance, you get an industry, the person's complete name, the company name, the complete address, the phone number. Not everybody has the same settings, but if you require all these fields on the registration, you get all of this information.
That's one of the things I was going to ask. There's the data that comes with the model, right? And then there's the data that you ask the engineer to fill out, and those are both selectable, correct?
It is, and it's important, I think, to point out that research has shown that engineers will definitely fill these forms out to get these CAD data. They're doing the buyer's journey themselves, by themselves, researching everything themselves, and they understand the value of these CAD files. I mean, they're saving them precious time creating some sort of model when they can just download it. So you get their data.
Should we link out to the True Global Spec report?
Yeah, we can. If you have the link, I think it would be a great link to throw in there.
Yeah.
If you were at the Industrial Marketing Summit, which I know Adam was, then you might have seen the Global Spec True Marketing research on the buyer's journey for engineers. It's fascinating how many of them are willing to fill out a form very completely in order to get CAD files. Actually, premium content of a lot of kinds, but definitely CAD files. I also want to point out in this data, you get a lot of information about the actual files downloaded. Why that's important is it's important to know what they downloaded. You can use that in segmenting them, putting them in buckets. You can use that in how you automate there's a lot of possible uses for all this data that's coming out of the system.
So looking at that contact information coming in, what does it do? I know one of my biggest challenges is preventing duplicates and cleaning up duplicates. What if that contact already exists in your system?
Yeah. So this is a super common question, and it's a concern, right? Nobody wants like 1,000 copies of a lead just being pumped into their system. But the good news is that doesn't happen because the system checks for duplicates in your CRM. So the process kind of goes like this: somebody downloads a CAD. My system will check your CRM to see if that record already exists. It checks for email addresses. If it does exist, it appends the activity data onto that existing contact. If the contact does not exist, it creates a new contact with the information that they put into the Cadena system and then appends the activity data onto that new contact. It's important to also point out if the contact exists, it does not modify any data, nor does it take any data out of your system. It never pulls data. So I often get
So if they're Jim and they enter James, it stays Jim in your system.
yep,
Yeah, perfect.
exactly.
That's
It
good.
won't. It will not edit your system. All it'll do is find that person if they exist. It appends data
Okay.
to those records.
So what? And we kind of touched on this a little bit already. What all are we collecting other than name, email address, and some of the stuff that's built into the model? What all are we collecting? Do you have a list of those?
Yeah. So let's just go back to this one. Here you can see the part number that they downloaded. You can see the catalog. If you have multiple catalogs, which some manufacturers do multiple catalogs in the Cadena system. For instance, different geography could be used in the catalog. If you have a EU division and a US division, you can see the country they're coming from, the file name, which helps you know what kind of system they're using, and where the CAD was downloaded from. If it was downloaded from your site, or if that CAD model was embedded in another site, it'll also show that data to you when they're brought across. And something else I want to look at is really this view, which is the view of the contact in HubSpot, because this activity data appears right in the stream of activity of everything else that's going on with that contact. So it really just kind of like a seamless melding of the systems. So first of all, you have who this person is and all their contact information. And then, for instance, here you can see when they registered and downloaded a CAD and what CAD they downloaded right in the stream of activity that's going on. For instance, this person then later bought the item. So this gives you kind of like you can see the whole buyer's journey like you normally can in HubSpot. You can see the CAD's portion of that journey right here in the activity feed. And also just take a quick look at Salesforce. This is how a contact looks in Salesforce. Very similar. Salesforce's design is different, but the same data is in there. And this is the activity feed in Salesforce, and it shows up the same way under the activity tab. You can see all the different activities, and those CAD downloads are in there, time stamped at the moment that they downloaded them. They come in and show up on that feed.
Yeah, it's really cool when you can see it. The engineer downloaded something, this part number ABC123, and then maybe an ABC124. So they're testing something out. And then the
Right.
next touch point, their rep reaches out and says, "Hey, how can I help?" Then they download another one. Then they have a quote, and they can really see how they were walked down the path and
Exactly.
track that web conversion all the way to a sale, which is a fantastic way to show the ROI on the thing. It's really hard to do with a traditional um, content marketing piece, finding a way to track that all the way to a sale.
Yeah, you get great visibility in there. And if you're a salesperson and you're using this CRM from the sales standpoint, it's super helpful that you can see what products they're looking at. So if you have a lot of different products, say that suit different verticals, you might be super interested in knowing which ones these people are looking at, so that might even inform the decision of where the lead would get routed to, which salesperson. But either way, it's important from the standpoint of when you contact that person, you have some idea what they're looking for, what they were looking at, what they're interested in, and that's actually super relevant on the GDPR side.
Yeah, I mean, everything from GDPR, any communication has to be relevant to a transaction that happened. So, the in this case, the engineer is essentially raising their hand and saying, "I'm interested in an ABC 123," and then we're communicating on that. There,
Exactly.
therefore, we're not spamming them, nothing like that. So, that's a
Right.
good point of clarification. So, another degree of that is we talked about how do we prevent duplicates of a person coming in? How do we just prevent people that we don't want getting into our system? Because I know our specific setups, I have caps on how many contacts I can have in there, and I don't want to flood that with too many or ones that I don't want.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want garbage data. We talked about duplicate detection already, but what about just, for instance, downloads from Russia or India or China? You might want those downloads. You might want to send them to some branch in Asia, but you might also just want to eliminate all those downloads so that you're not having to just go back to your CRM and delete those people or mark them as not important. So this system allows you to filter by geography, and you can just select, I only want leads from North America or whatever region you want, one specifically to the country. And you can also filter by any part of the email address. So you could, for instance, filter out all .edu domains if you don't want students who might be downloading files into your CRM. You can filter out gmail.com or any kind of Hotmail, or you can just eliminate those entirely, because sometimes people who are using generic email addresses, are just putting bogus information in, that kind of thing. So you can filter out all those kind of people. And then you can even filter by Cadina's catalog. So if there's one specific part of your catalog that you want the leads to go to one specific CRM, we can do that. And we could even route different catalogs to different CRMs, even in different countries, and they don't even have to be the same CRM. So we really can filter and route the leads in a lot of complex and interesting ways.
So a lot of manufacturers use the tool a lot internally. Their customer service or their engineering team actually goes on and they'll make the model for an
Yeah,
engineer.
for sure.
And we can also filter those internal email addresses if they're using it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by default, we filter out any domains that the company owns. So that way you're not getting your own salespeople as leads coming through your CRM.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You, the sales team loves the calling themselves in the endless loop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They just call each other all day long. Somebody to talk
So
to.
many activities.
Exactly.
Marketing automation is cool because of the automation part of it. So
Yeah.
it seems like I could build some triggers from this to do more cool things downstream.
Workflow automation is totally possible to whatever degree you're able to pull it off in your CRM with any other kind of lead. So the leads come in just like any lead would come into your CRM, and the same tools that you would have for any other lead apply. So, for instance, in HubSpot, because we're using a form to receive the leads, it's super trivial to add a workflow to that form and send a follow up email. So really, it's just like a few clicks. You could create an autoresponder, but it can be more complex with routing or whatever kind of intelligence you want to build into it. And of course, you can then nurture to these um, leads over time, so that you can build a relationship. If you, for instance, I just had a conversation with a company in Germany. Like, you don't have to take those leads and send them straight to your salespeople. Obviously, you could set them aside, nurture them, and then if they've opened a few emails and if they've done a few things on your website, then we say, okay, these are a little more marketing qualified, whatever kind of metrics you want to apply. And then you can route them to your sales team, and then you can, use whatever logic, territory logic or whatever to send it to the right person. So a lot of automation can be done, nurturing, and the whole point is really eliminating a lot of that manual stuff you have to do if you're doing this kind of the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, as one of the things that we do for a new manufacturer that's with us is we do a marketing kickoff and we tell them best practices. And this is one of those things to do as a best practice. Well, firstly, our system is unique in that it enables the part number to be built into the model. But then when a manufacturer has this set up, they see that part number and then they can say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, thank you for downloading that ABC123. When you're ready to buy, here's who to call or email. Here's where you get it. Here's the link
Exactly.
back to it. It's always at the top of the inbox." And
Here's
that you,
literature that goes along with
yeah,
that product
yeah,
category if
maybe
you want to
special
download.
pricing or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
next thing is. So, yeah, that's really critical. Making sure that they know who the human is to reach to buy the thing, because that's
Right.
what we're trying to do at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So, um, we've talked about automating things keyed off of this. What about building reports and dashboards so that we can see performance over time?
Excellent question. So the system itself doesn't make reports for you in your HubSpot or your Salesforce or whatever CRM you're using, but all the data is there for you to make reports and dashboards off of this information. So here's an example of what a dashboard might look like. This particular one is just showing how many contacts are being created by day, and then you can see who those contacts are down below. Another example here showing how many leads are coming in the top left, the amount of activity per day in the top right there. And then in the bottom left, this is the most active downloaders. So you could, I have to blur these names out for people's safety and anonymity, but those blurry spots are individuals, and you can see like who's downloading the most in, for instance, the last week or the last month or whatever, and the most downloaded items. So there's a lot of kind of information, interesting information that you could use to help you make decisions about all kinds of things. One, is this CAD system really performing? How is it performing compared to other content? And even what is popular? What products are people downloading? And the other day we were talking about this, Adam, and you pointed out that you could use that information even in forecasting on the supply chain side. So you could say, hey, tons of people are looking at these products and downloading the CAD for these. We know that a certain percentage of these people are going to buy, and then we're going to need the material to fulfill these products. So there's a lot of ways that you could use this data. And although we don't create these dashboards, we do have a couple of videos that show you actually step by step, walk you through the process of creating dashboards like these. There's also, this is the view of the same dashboard more or less in Salesforce. So, anything that you can report on in your CRM, any kind of graphing or reporting you could do on this data.
Yeah, and so what are some reports that you would suggest out of the box that they do? I know, especially in HubSpot, there's some they have some canned reports you can start with, and then just tell it which thing to look at. But there's other ones where you might have to, what would be your top handful to recommend?
Yeah. So in HubSpot, uh, one thing that's cool is because the way the data comes in, all the lead dashboards that are already built into HubSpot will show this data already separately because the way it comes in is the way HubSpot works natively. So that data just shows up in your existing reports alongside your other alongside your other lead sources, let's say. But some things you could look at would be things like how many CAD leads are being created this week or this month or over a whole year or whatever period you want to look at. You could look at the relative performance of lead sources. I know personally, and I actually was just on a phone call with another of your colleagues talking about this too. These CAD leads, this CAD produces a lot of leads. So you put it up next to the other lead sources and you'll be surprised. Like, okay, it's always at the top. It's always the number one lead generator. But you could still see, okay, look, if we add up these other things, okay, they're also pulling leads. And you could also see what the most popular products are, like we just kind of briefly discussed.
Yeah. So, um, what is the process? We touched on this early in it briefly, but like, what's the process to hook it up to my CRM system? Is it involved?
Yeah, nobody wants a complicated process. Nobody wants to get IT involved, although that might be unavoidable. Everybody wants, something that's simple. And the whole point of this system is trying to make this process simple. So you don't have to build an integration. You don't have to wire it together with a set of tools. You don't have to customize it. It's completely managed. We do all the work setting it up to uh, your needs, the needs of your CRM, your custom properties, if you have them, the way your business works, whatever you need. And connecting it is equally simple. It's literally a 3-step process. It just has to be done by a CRM admin. But basically, you go log into bridger.io. When you're in there, you'll see a big green connect button. You can see it there in the upper left corner. Inside bridger.io, you also get a little dashboard if you want to look in here, but this same data is being sent into your CRM. You click that connect button and it just bounces you over to your HubSpot and you get a standard OAuth type login, which I'm sure you've seen before. It just says, hey, I want to connect this application. Is that okay? This is what it's going to do. And you say, okay, and your app is connected. So the power of OAuth is one, it's a standard, secure form of connecting, and two, it keeps the power in the hands of the CRM admin. So the CRM admin has control over that connection from the CRM side. It's not being
So they can pull the
controlled
plug
by my
anytime.
side. Yep, they could pull the plug if they wanted to, although
Yep.
that's never happened yet. But,
Yep.
you know, people like to know I'm in complete control. So you are in complete control. You just log in, click connect, and approve, and it's done.
Perfect. It couldn't be easier.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So in the end, you get this. You get leads into your CRM the way you want them without having to do anything except 3 clicks to get started. And, from that point on, all day, every day, as soon as people are doing CAD on your website, those leads are showing up in your CRM, and you can automate them and nurture them and call them or do whatever else you need to do with your leads.
So one thing we didn't touch on though is the timeliness or frequency, because if I'm going into the system and I'm pulling that spreadsheet down and putting it into my CRM system, I'm not going to do that all the time. I'd do it daily or weekly. That's a little bit of a delay. How often do you tend to bring leads into your system, or their system, I should say?
Yeah, leads are moved every hour. So any lead that anybody who downloads a file within the hour, that data is in your CRM.
Yep.
So you can, connect on
That's
it
as
very
fast as you
quickly.
would need it. Yeah.
Exactly. We could make it faster or slower, but so far that seems to work pretty well for most people. That way you can follow up as fast as you want. There's no like, oh, I downloaded a file a week ago and now I don't even remember who you are. You can, right away get back to them and connect with them. So that works out pretty well. At
Perfect.
this point, yeah, let's switch to Q&A. I just want to remind people, if you're watching this live, just drop your questions in the comments. If you have any questions about how anything works, how it's connected, anything about the activity data, any questions at all, just throw them in the comments. If you're watching this after the fact and it's not live, still throw your questions in the comments because we'll try to keep an eye on this. If you have a question about it, we would still love to dialogue with you. And this is going to live on a post in LinkedIn, so you can throw questions in there after the fact as well. So one question I'm going to start with is, how does somebody get started?
Good question. So there's a couple different paths here. If they already have their products set up in our system, they would just ping their rep, or they could shoot an email to me at info@partsolutions.com. We can go through the quick steps of how to get them connected, and they would get that email then from you on clicking the button for Bridger.io. If their content hasn't been created yet, we could get their CAD stuff into our system, and then the same thing. Once their CAD or their products are in our system, they're off to the races.
Okay, and I have this comment. It's not a question, but I'm going to throw it out there because it's from Joe Lewin, giving us some love and support there. So thank you, Joe. We love you back. Another question. Does this only work for CAD files?
It works for CAD. It's a yes and proposition here. So it works for CAD files, but our system, one of the beauties of it is it puts out so many other formats. So there's architectural manufacturers, so any of those BIM downloads, and then one of the things that's really interesting is that PDF data sheets tend to be our highest volume content download because for two reasons. One, everybody needs them in all the various departments, engineering and procurement, and the data backup part of all of these models, but also the CAD models all kind of divide the total amongst themselves, whereas there's only one PDF out there. And
Right.
so the PDF is a very actionable content download, and this works the same as when they download it, that same trigger comes through.
Actually, the PDF function of the CAD system uh, is super duper critical. It's amazing how important it is because it's not just engineers that are in the buying process, right? So many of these companies that are buying something, have procurement departments, new product development departments, all these kind of people. So having that PDF, I think, it's kind of a game changer that people can just go there, grab a PDF with exactly the part
That's the
that they're
thing.
looking
It's the
for.
configuration, because
Yeah,
you can get a PDF of a whole family of products and then have to do
exactly.
the table and figure it out on your own. But this is that exact configuration.
Right. So now the engineer downloads it, he clicks PDF, he just sends the PDF off to procurement, and then they have what they need. He has what he needs. It's a genius setup. I think
We
that
bury the
little
lead on that one too much. We talk about CAD first, where the PDF is kind of the gem
it's the
that
combo. It's like a 1-2
yeah,
punch, I think, because
yeah.
you can the engineer's not going to send a CAD to procurement. Procurement will be like, "What the hell is this?" But if he sends a PDF, it's like, "This is what I need, and here's the address and the phone number and the part number."
And the
So
model, the 3D models embedded in there. They don't need a CAD system to see that thing and spin it around.
yeah, that's
So
actually pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot there.
I think
But
that
yeah,
is
you'll
kind
also
of like
see
a,
a
go
lot of
ahead.
manufacturers or engineering departments require that they download a CAD model, but then also the PDF for supporting documentation. So you'll
Yeah.
sometimes see those two come through like as a pair, when those engineering teams have to do that for their documentation.
I feel like it's kind of like a sleeper feature that is a game changer. You guys
We've
probably
had
should,
manufacturers that use the tool just for that, and they're like, "Yeah,
yeah.
leave the cat on the shelf." Or
Like CAD gets so talked about, but the PDF is
I know.
it's super critical. Last question: what if we have multiple brands? So you're a company; it's got multiple brands. How does that work?
So it depends again on how your company is set up. If your multiple brands are in a single catalog, but there's some identifier on there, Smith Industries and Jones
Hmm.
Industries, all under whatever Richards Industries, whatever the thing is,
Right.
and we can key off of that. However it is, as long as we can see an identifier, right, we can filter and direct things internally in your CRM system or your marketing automation. If you have multiple brands to multiple CRM systems, those are multiple connections. And then in that case, we're willing to work with the manufacturers, and we usually give them a volume discount based on how many things we're wiring up.
Right. And we've definitely done a few that have some complex scenarios with US or UK and EU and different catalogs and different situations like that.
Yeah, so they tend to have a location built in from the IP address, or if you ask for that location information, whatever we can key off of, as long as we're not guessing what the routing method is, we
Right.
should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. If the data is in there anywhere, we can find a way to route off of it, basically.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that is it. I think we have covered it, Adam. I think we have kind of talked about this thing from every angle. So I'm going to wrap it up. First of all, though, I really wanted to say thank you for coming on this show, being willing to talk about this product with me, and just doing this whole live. It's been fun. It's always good to see you. Always good to chat with you about marketing or literally anything. But thank you so much
Thanks for having
coming.
me.
Yeah.
This is a blast.
Okay. So for more info, you should talk to your Cadinus rep. Also, let me see. Boop. Real time. Also, you can go to partsolutions.com if you're in the US, or you can go to cadinus.de if you're in the EU. Don't forget, if you still have questions after this, you can still throw them in the comments. We'll answer them. And we're going to drop another link in the comments to take you straight to information about the connector. So other than that, thank you, Adam. Thank you, listeners. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.